Don Lemon, the well-known journalist who previously anchored at a major news network and has since transitioned into independent reporting, recently found himself at the center of a heated online controversy. The dispute erupted after he shared coverage of a tense protest unfolding in the Twin Cities area of Minnesota. Specifically, on a Sunday in mid-January, Lemon posted video footage depicting activists interrupting a church service. The service was being led by David Easterwood, a figure who holds a dual and highly controversial role. He serves as a pastor at a local congregation while simultaneously occupying the position of acting director of the St. Paul Field Office for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, IC. This intersection of religious leadership and federal immigration enforcement had already drawn significant scrutiny. Easterwood's name appeared prominently on the church's official website as a pastor, establishing his spiritual role within the community. At the same time, official correspondence from late December, namely a cease and desist letter issued by the St. Paul City Attorney, explicitly identified him in his ICE capacity, referencing an earlier incident tied to immigration operations. The letter underscored growing friction between local authorities and federal agents, highlighting how deeply these roles had become intertwined and contentious. Lemon's post provided context for viewers, noting that the disruption occurred during a regular service and citing information from a lawyer and activist who had been following the situation closely. He described the event straightforwardly. Minneapolis activists had entered the church and interrupted proceedings where Easterwood was presiding. The accompanying video captured the raw intensity of the moment, protesters voicing their opposition loudly within the sacred space, chanting slogans and demanding accountability for ICE's activities in the region. Lemon, now 59 and operating as an independent voice on platforms like Blue Sky, framed the story as a matter of public interest, focusing on the unusual overlap between pastoral duties and high-level immigration enforcement. The post quickly caught the attention of rapper and public figure Nicki Minaj, who reacted strongly overnight. In her response on social media, Minaj unleashed a barrage of criticism directed squarely at Lemon. She referred to him using a derogatory homophobic slur, labeling him disgusting, and accusing him of overstepping boundaries. She expressed outrage at what she perceived as selective targeting, insisting that Lemon would never do that to any other religion. Her message escalated further, calling for Lemon to be jailed and describing him as a thug who deserved to be locked up. Accompanying her text was an image of a Chucky doll, a horror figure known for its menacing and chaotic persona, seemingly intended to emphasize her contempt. Lemon, who is openly gay and celebrated his marriage to longtime partner Tim Malone in 2024, chose not to ignore the attack. He issued a pointed response through a statement provided to media outlets. In it, he expressed little surprise at Minaj's reaction, suggesting she lacked a firm grasp of journalistic principles and was opining on topics beyond her expertise or understanding. He countered her imagery directly, proposing that a more fitting symbol for her post would be a pick-me doll, a term often used online to describe someone perceived as desperately seeking approval or attention, particularly in controversial or performative ways. This exchange did not occur in isolation. In recent months, Minaj has increasingly voiced strong opinions on political and social matters, often aligning herself with conservative viewpoints. For instance, in November she delivered remarks at the United Nations addressing religious violence in Nigeria. During that speech, she expressed gratitude toward President Donald Trump and highlighted her concerns about attacks on faith, particularly noting that Christians were facing targeted persecution in various parts of the world. Her comments positioned her as an advocate for religious freedom and drew attention to global issues of faith-based violence. The use of a homophobic slur in her criticism of Lemon came just 1 month after another high-profile appearance that generated backlash. Minaj had taken the stage alongside commentator Erica Kirk at Turning Point USA's AmericaFest event. Following the gathering, she made statements emphasizing traditional gender norms, including phrases like, "Boys be boys. It's okay to be boys. There's nothing wrong with being a boy." Many interpreted these remarks as dismissive of transgender identities and experiences, fueling accusations of anti-trans rhetoric. The pattern of her recent public statements has thus placed her at the center of cultural and political debates, often polarizing audiences. The underlying events in Minnesota provide crucial context for why the protest, and Lemon's coverage, proved so inflammatory. Over time, relations between local residents and ICE agents have deteriorated sharply due to a series of violent incidents during immigration enforcement actions. One particularly tragic case involved the shooting death of Renee Good, killed by ICE agent Jonathan Ross in Minneapolis. In another separate occurrence, an ICE agent fired on and wounded a man in North Minneapolis. These episodes have heightened community fears, sparked widespread protests, and prompted official pushback from city leadership. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey has been vocal about the escalating crisis, announcing that the city has pursued legal action to halt ICE operations within its jurisdiction. He described the situation as untenable, emphasizing that America cannot sustain a reality where two branches or levels of government are actively clashing in such a direct and confrontational manner. Frey's words reflect a broader sense of alarm among local officials, who argue that federal immigration tactics are disrupting community safety, trust in institutions, and everyday life.